Hi, Chris Watkins here from the Seven Hill Group. Thanks for watching this video. It's video 2 of a series about the book Team of Teams by General McChrystal. In the first, we talked about his key finding and focus was to move from me-see, which is a mutually exclusive and completely exhaustive approach to life, where you just think you can put everything in a list and we can structure it and plan it with a little bit of variety, but basically our plan is going to be the one we execute on, to a VUCA world of volatility, uncertainty, complexity and ambiguity. What were the answers to that? And that's what this video is about, the 4 key things. The first is to create what he called a shared consciousness. I like to think of that just as clarity. It's as simple as that. But he obsessed about it, invested massively in technology and also potential security risks. Because he wanted to make sure everybody had as much information as possible out in the field so that people were operating from the same information. I think this is a key point for so many businesses. We hoard information, we think people won't be able to deal with it, they won't be able to manage the news, but absolutely, if you treat them like adults, they'll respond like that, and that was his approach. And so there was an operating rhythm, a structured, planned engagement where everybody knew they were going to get the right information as quickly as possible. And there was a high degree of trust, and with that, risk. So what about you? Are you doing that? Are you empowering people with as much information as possible in a predictable way? The second thing was empowered delivery and decision making, and I thought this was really exciting as well for a lot of businesses that I work with, where you push decision making down to the lowest possible point, the closest point to the actual operation as possible. Again, this takes a great deal of trust, it takes a great deal of information and an operating rhythm of structure, but it takes a hands-off approach where you really empower people to think and then back them up when they've made a decision. And again, ask yourself, to what degree have you pushed the decision-making process as closely as possible to the front line or to the customer? The third insight that I took away from the book was something called LIMFACs, and this is more of a military piece, where a LIMFAC is a limiting factor, and the idea is you've got to kill them. You've got to identify them and you've got to kill them. So one of the LIMFACs in terms of getting a shared consciousness or clarity was just that the technology was so poor, and so, as I said earlier, he invested heavily in this because that was the limiting factor that was going to stop them achieving what they needed to achieve. So if I was to bump into you and say, so what are your 2 limiting factors? Could you tell me, and when are you going to kill them? Finally, he talked about a metaphor for leadership, and he took the concept of a chess player as how most people see leaders. You know, they're overseeing the board and they're choosing where everything goes and where everyone is, and they're playing the long game, and they've got all these kind of amazing plans, but they're seen as almost puppeteers. Whereas what he talked about was, in a VUCA world, you need to be a gardener. So the coaching, the conversational approach, the relational approach, the enabling, the maturing, the developing mindset rules, because you're not going to be able to pull all the strings in a complex world. You have to enable others to do that. And so if you look at your diary, how much gardening are you doing this week as a leader? So 4 things to go from a mutually exclusive and completely exhaustive world to a volatile, uncertain, complex and ambiguous world. Number 1, creating shared consciousness, doing whatever it takes to make sure the information is out there. Number 2, making sure you enable delivery, really empowering people to get on and make the decisions they need to make rather than having to escalate consistently. LIMFACs, identify your killer limiting factors and kill them before they do that to you. And finally, see yourself as a gardener more than a chess player, and make sure your diary and your time reflect that. I hope that's helpful. Let me know in the comments. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks very much.